Welcome back to the Nine. It's been a little bit since we've been here, but regaining, and I'm joined with Chieftess Elizabeth Ellerbrock of Urdr Dypt, Kentuckiana tonight. Thank you for being a part and welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right. First off, we'll get into it real quick. You've come up very quickly in the community. I noticed you a few months back. You introduced yourself and have grown into a position of being elected to Chieftess of your kindred. What do you think has catapulted that trust in you in your local community to achieve this role of responsibility?
My hope is that people have been seeing the passion and drive the community has been something I've been for years. I've worked as a leadership in a pagan group. I've been a part of another Kentucky organization that kind of went by the wayside, but eventually Zach, I ended up coming over to Urdr Dypt, and it's just been a good fit for us. In community has always been kind of my passion, so Chieftess made sense for me to step into that role.
Okay. Next question. 2020 has been racked with issues all around. The COVID-19 thing has been huge. Social distancing, capacities, and going out to shop. How have you all, as a kindred in Kentuckiana, been able to stay connected, stay together, and do the work that's kind of our foreground in being an organization?
With a brand new kindred, obviously it's been a challenge. We do have social media and talk to each other almost daily. So we've really been able to kind of get to know each other in a low pressure setting, which is kind of an advantage. It's also been an opportunity to kind of meet Urdr Dypt as a whole, not just our local people. You've been doing the fireside chats. David's been doing the midnight howl. I know I've made friends that way that I otherwise probably wouldn't have. And then Sam, she started that women's group as well. So the women have been kind of connecting.
All right. So again, kind of piggybacking on the last question, 2020 being so difficult, what are your plans for Kentuckiana as Chieftess going forward in 2020?
First and foremost, we want to get back to physical meetups. Ideally, if we can make it happen, we'd like to have some sort of a camp out before the end of the year. But definitely, dinners, coffees, just even meeting up one-on-one if restrictions freeze it. Just to get back to the community, the physical community. We've also just started working with a local organization here in Louisville, Keep Louisville Warm, that's aiding the homeless population. So stepping into more community works.
That's awesome. Going a little bit different direction, who or what has inspired you most in your path to get you to where you are now?
I'd have to say there's probably 4 people that have come up at different points in my path. First and foremost is my son. We don't have a lot of family here in town. Everybody's 2-3 hours away. So I've always really wanted to build that community for him. Then there's Zach Sherlicki, the Gothi of Kentuckiana. We've been friends for a couple of years now. We've been working on community on a couple of different projects. We're a good balance for each other, whereas I'm more the people person. I like to do coordinating and networking. He's got the spiritual side of things. When one of us gets burned out, the other one just seems to pop up and have that fire. So it just we work together very well and keep each other motivated. More recently, I have to give a shout out to a couple of people from your kindred. David Cornett, he's been one since day one. He's had my back. He's been encouraging, but it's also been inspiring. He's made some personal strides lately, and just watching the growth within and without has been really a major inspiration. And then Sam Melt, she started the women's group. She's been forefront on all of the community outreach we've been trying to do, whether it's local to her or not. She's planning a wedding. She's a mom. She's involved in everything. It seems like you can't help to be inspired and to work harder when you're around her.
Sam is awesome, and David as well. And it's kind of weird in a way that you had finished up with Sam. My next question to you is, as a woman and as a mother, how do you feel those aspects of being a person help you in your leadership role or in going forward in guiding and leading community? Has being a mother influenced you at all, or helped or hurt at all in your position now as chieftess of a kindred?
Yeah, I think it's helped a lot because you have to learn to communicate differently. Everything from being able to say, I don't know, and knowing how to find an answer for somebody, to just how to ask for help and delegate. I still struggle with that with some, but you start to learn that you have to with children. Knowing how to rephrase things just to communicate what you're trying to say a little better. You have to slow down, especially I have a very stubborn 6-year-old. If he doesn't understand the why, then he's not going to do it. And then more with my stepdaughter, pushing people who aren't necessarily motivated to do what you're trying to get them to do.
What are some of your personal goals outside of organization, outside of kindred? What are some of your personal goals that you've set, or that you'd like to build on in the path that you've already created for yourself?
My biggest one is definitely to establish that local community, to create something for my son. But on a more internal level, establishing personal practice more effectively, making sure I dedicate that time to study or to do a devotional each day. It's a goal that I've set for myself.
There's been a lot going on this year outside of COVID-19, the pandemic. It's an election year, a lot of social hot topics, a lot of social hot button issues. Um, Heathenry or heathenism, paganism in general, has always sort of been stigmatized because we're at that bottom of the chain. What do you think at this point in time in society is the biggest hindrance to our folk or our people being able to progress and more openly practice?
I think it's kind of internal. It's a widespread fear, a judgment as a minority religion, but also from other pagans within the community, even within Asa. We don't have a unifying dogma. There's no such thing as an Asa Pope. That's a good thing, but we have a lot of infighting and just politics between different groups and sects that's almost unnecessary. It gets to an excess. If we want the future generations to actually continue doing what we're doing to take it to the next level, then there needs to be some sort of basic unity. To kind of resolve that, I think we as Urdr Dypt are actually stepping into a role to do that. We're working on outreach projects with local communities. We've got various kindreds. Each of us are autonomous, but we work together to reach our goals. We've got educational opportunities like the fireside chat I mentioned before, but also the ordination program. And even these interviews are working towards that. It's showing everybody that we're willing to step out away from the keyboard and say, I'm here, I am heathen, I am ostro, and just show the positive side.
That's awesome. Personally, what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone new to their path or new to coming into this? We see it daily. There are so many that come over from a previous faith or a previous, I guess, religion, for lack of a better word. But what is your one piece of advice that you would give to someone new to discovering or rediscovering their path in life?
That's the hardest one to kind of narrow down. But if I had to say just one thing, don't get discouraged. Whatever your goals are, whether it's personal practice or building a kindred or just general education, just learn to enjoy the experiences as they come, both good and bad. And eventually you'll reach your goals.
I love that you answered that way. And that's such a top thing for me, because I see it so much happening in the greater community that a new person will come and ask for advice or ask a question, and maybe a year into it, but someone 2 years into it will have such a hard ass answer or hard ass reply to show that I'm more heathen than heathen when it comes to you and I. So that's awesome. Don't be discouraged by these people that respond that way. They're really not in it for the right reasons if they do so. To finish up with the 9, my 9th question for you, Ellerbrock, is what has being a part of Urdr Dypt done for you, if anything?
It's done a lot for me. I mean, it's brought me so much closer to my goals. Being able to learn from an established kindred and established leadership, just it gives you a wealth of information from people who have hit some of those pitfalls. It helps to put Kentuckiana on the map. On a personal level, I've gained friends, some of whom I even call family now. It's also kind of forced me, being in the position I'm in, to be the best leader, the best person I can be. I have to further myself every day to be worthy of the position I have. And that's carried into my life as a parent. It's carried into my career, just across the board. And even on a kindred level, I mean, it's been a platform where we can communicate together, we can learn from each other. But it's also having that 501c3, the nonprofit status, gives us some credibility to the wider community. It's something non-pagans can see and understand. Hey, we're here to help. We're trying to improve the world around us. And it just smooths, I think, some of the connections a little bit.
Well said. Elizabeth Ellerbrock, Chieftess of Urdr Dypt, Kentuckiana, thank you for your time and your responses tonight and sharing a little bit about yourself with the rest of our community. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for being on. For the rest of you, stay tuned for the next one, and thank you for viewing. JM Olofsson, and I will see you next time on the 9.